It is 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday. The Audible is back in action. I'm alongside my guy, Donnie, RightSide. Whale Capper will be joining us a little later in the show, but I'm thankful that we're back on YouTube and ready to hammer this card. Donnie, RightSide, we are back in action. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to be back. Talk a little bit of NFL football, raring to go. And as you see, Jimmy, we got a big game here in the city of brotherly love. And as you'll see a little bit later in the show, either way, I'm probably going to be a happy man. So
I'm looking forward to hearing your breakdowns. Also, I've looked at your action, and we aren't on any of the same bets, and we're not against each other. So I'm looking forward to break down this card. I think you will give me insights on maybe some extra action. A couple of the looks. I was dealing with insomnia for about 3 days, and when I did the Wednesday pick six, a couple moves have gone from 6.5-point favorites to 7. And when they moved to 7, I didn't pull the trigger. So I only have 5 bets on my card right now. You have 4. I can't wait to break it down. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We got Joe, Rich, Rye, Cape, Gerald, Jones, Truckin' 6, God, Deer, Slayer, Ski, Dennis Garcia, Jay-Z, Michelle, Matson, Major Tom. Let's get to work right now. Donnie, we got 3 games on Saturday. We also have spectacular weather this weekend, which is so strange and so unexpected, but beautiful football weather. No issues across the board. No wind. No rain. There's actually going to be rain in Miami, but that's a stadium that it's just going to be thunderstorms, and who knows when they'll hit. There's wind in Miami. It won't affect so much. So great football weather. Let's get to work right now. We got 3 games on Saturday. Let's start with this Texans Buccaneers spot. Let's see what I'm on Sportsbook SBR odds, the best odds page in the business. My opening is Pinnacle. So Tampa Bay opens -1.5 in a full throttle switch to the Texans. Texans now 3-point favorites everywhere and juiced. 3.5 at Bovada. This total opened up at 53 all the way down to 50. 72 Fahrenheit, cloudy. There is a bit of wind, 14 miles per hour. Deshaun Watson steps up in big games. We know that about him from his college days to his NFL days. Bucks are beat up. Evans done for the year. Godwin may play, but not 100%. Bucks have nothing to play for. And still, I'm afraid to take the Texans at -3. I do not have a move on this game. Take it away, Donnie. Is there a move to make side or total in Texans Buccaneers?
Yeah, I went with the Houston Texans here, and it's an extremely square play. But then again, when you take a look, there's different types of square plays that we like. Because if we're talking about week 3, 4, 5, and 6, Jimmy, everybody in the NFL has what? We all need to win. We want to win. We want to continue. We all want to make the playoffs. Well, when one team actually sees and says, you know what? If we win this game, we wrap up everything in our division. We're probably not going to get a bye as it is anyway. Next week, we don't want to play the Titans with the division possibly on the line and can lose it. If you wrap this game up, you win. And yes, I really like what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been doing. I believe both of these teams winners of 5 of 6 games coming into this, but I might be getting that wrong. But Tampa Bay specifically, Arians has been fantastic this year. The offense has been humming. Jameis Winston, when he's not throwing interceptions, he's having Herculean-type games, 450 yards. But there is something to be said about one team that needs to win. One team has a better defense, and one team is down 3 of its top 4 wide receivers. And we're talking about, Jimmy, not just saying like the Eagles are down J.J. Arcega or Nelson Aguilar or, Alshon Jeffrey. You're down 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. 2 of the single best players in your conference are not going to suit up. That's going to have an effect in this football game. The 3 wide receivers for the Houston Texans are able to do whatever they want against the secondary of Tampa Bay. It's a square play, but it's a late season square play where one team needs to win. The other team is looking at golfing in a couple weeks here.
And Godwin has been ruled out against the Texans. Jay-Z says, who's catching the ball for Tampa Bay besides the opposite team's corners? The real issue, these are spectacular wide receivers, as you mentioned. But to me, the fact that O.J. Howard never took that next step that I so expected him to have does limit your options. Texans -3. I get it. I absolutely get it. Damon Santori saying Jameis throws the picks to linebackers. Look, I can understand why you're backing the Texans here. I'm hesitant to trust the Texans, even in this spot when the Buccaneers are decimated. I have no move, but we have Donnie RightSide's first action. Texans -3. Let's move on to the Bills, Pats. Man, I'm excited about this game. I did pull the trigger on the Bills +6.5, 34 Fahrenheit, cloudy, no wind at all in Foxborough. 3 miles per hour is the wind. The New England opened at -6.5 at -111. They're now -6.5 at -109. Very little movement. This total went from 38.5 down to 37.5 at Pinnacle. It's 37 in other books. I could understand people trying to get under this total. We got David Stewart joining us. Trot Wham in the house. Dennis Garcia, by the way, in that Houston game saying Houston better quarterback, defense, healthier, needs to win. Houston is the only way you can play. I'm certainly not going to be on the Bucs. No doubt about that. David Stewart says, Jimmy, Texans defense should help them win. With this Bill spot, McDermott has done a wonderful job, a spectacular job. The Bills are surging. They are surging. Can they go into New England and get a win? Probably not. Can they keep this a close game? Absolutely. I'm on the Bills +6.5 at +100. Donnie, are you making a move on side or total here in Bills Patriots?
I don't have a move on it. It'd be easy for us to say, Jimmy, let me get the +7 in there, minus, 125. But if this does get to 7, a legitimate 7, maybe a -112, -110 in that range, it's the Buffalo Bills or nobody for me here. I loved what I saw last week out of the Buffalo Bills going on the road in a tough environment against a super elite defense, which they're going to face this weekend, and pull out the victory. If you look back earlier in the season, what was it, a 16-10 final where Buffalo played at home versus the Patriots, a much healthier Patriots version as well, and Josh Allen got knocked out of that football game. He's going to have some confidence, but we also have to take a look who needs what in this football game. It doesn't really look like Buffalo is going to win this division, right? Which on the flip side says New England, let's just say Buffalo goes in and for, just intensive purposes of playing this out, Buffalo wins this game. Doesn't really affect all that much the New England Patriots because they have one in their pocket next week playing at home against the Miami Dolphins to wrap up the division. So if they lose and still win, they win it. If Buffalo still has to win this week and then win next week and then hope that the New England Patriots lose. So that could play into a little bit. But I look at one of those younger brother type situations where, look, we can never beat this New England team. This is our shot to go up there. We already beat Pittsburgh last week. We have some big wins under our belt this year. I want to take the next step and say, if we do match up in the playoffs, oh yeah, we beat the Steelers on the road to end the season, and we went up and took care of New England. Yeah, we didn't win the division, but we're going to take on anybody, and that confidence is massive in a younger team. They're going to play this game close because the one thing we know, that New England offense is really struggling, and they're going to get all they can handle from a Buffalo defense, and I think Josh Allen's going to make enough plays to keep them hanging around in this ballgame. I would be hard-pressed to think in this game, Jimmy, New England wins this game by 2 touchdowns. Will it be tough for Buffalo to go in and win it outright? Maybe, but this game is going to be close. Field goal or less, one of these teams is going to win to me, and I do like the Buffalo Bills getting the points. I'm just waiting to see, Jimmy, if I can get that true 7 and say, all right, New England, beat me by 2 touchdowns or beat me by double digits to cash this ticket.
I get it. I completely get it. I'm not sure if that 7's going to arrive. I'd be very interested, and you said a real 7. I'd be very interested to see if it comes. David Stewart says, Jimmy, like the Bills with the points, but like Pats to win at home. Dennis Garcia said, New England won first meeting thanks to a block punt TD. David Stewart says, I got the Pats in my teaser just to win. Deer Slayer Ski liking the Pats. I faded the Pats when the Chiefs came to town and was never concerned. And we talked about it, Donnie, when we saw the trick play on that first series, I was like, man, this is an offense that can't get it done and needs trick plays to have a chance. David Stewart going to wait to see if he can get a 7 as well. Dennis Garcia said, look at the respect Buffalo getting at home. They were catching 7 versus New England. Foxborough weeks later only getting 6.5. Jay-Z says Bills can't play in Foxborough. Not these Bills. These are a different group of Bills. We got Jake Bell joining us. Sean Mick said this could be a very low-scoring game, like a 17-14 type game. Look, if I had a free play on the total, I'd go under, but it's just a tiny bit too low for me to make that move. What do you think of this total, Donnie?
Yeah, you're right about that. I actually think it has more of a tendency to go over because the thing you alluded to, Jimmy, to open up the show, yeah, it's going to be 30 degrees. We're talking like 2 to 3 mile an hour winds. So 50-yard field goals are back into play. Deep pass is not affected by the wind. That's going to be helpful. And also we're talking about playing on turf in dry conditions. I think it's still a little bit too low. That 36.5, 37, 37.5, it's too low for me to take the under in this one because, again, when you're dealing with a game that might be 17-17, you're probably going to lose it. And that's not a lot of points.
Yeah. That's 17-17 and you're in trouble. It's not the way I want to be. That's not the ticket I want in my pocket. Bills plus 6.5, plus 100. My first look on the card. Texans -3. Donnie RightSide's first look on the card. Let's get right into my second look on the card. And I've had a lot of people questioning this, and I am very confident in it. I'm betting against my team. And I find when cappers do that, they hit at a high rate. They know when to fade their team. I'm on the Rams. I got +7 at -110 at Bovada. 58 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 14 miles per hour Saturday in San Francisco. So the Niners have responded very well anytime they've had a bad week. But they're dealing with injuries, and not just a few injuries, a ton of injuries. There's one injury that no one's talking about, Donnie, and that's Weston Richburg. This guy was going to be a Pro Bowl center. He tears his ACL. Now you have a backup center in Ben Garland. That's dangerous against Aaron Donald. A backup center, he's going to have Donald in his face. No D Ford, no Tart, no Julian Taylor. You got Sherman and K1 saying they're playing. They're beat up. DeForest Buckner hasn't looked that good. With all the injuries now in the 49ers pass rush, you can double Bosa. And then when does Goff succeed? When he doesn't have pressure. I just don't see how the Niners are going to be able to dial up pressure with all of their injuries. Yes, Gurley came back to earth last week. Yes, the Rams looked awful. Look, I'm confident in this play. Let's see what the market is showing us here. The only 7 is at Bovada, 6.5s everywhere else. This total opened up at 46. There's now 44s and 44.5s. I am interested in the under, but Rams +7 on my card. Donnie RightSide, Rams, Niners.
You know what's nice, Jimmy, when you go against a pretty good pass rush? Number one, to make sure that D Ford's probably not going to play, which would be a bonus, but also Havenstein, who hasn't played in about 5 to 6 weeks. He looks like he's going to suit up as the right tackle, and having 2 solid tackles to go against the San Francisco 49ers, that's going to help. You know what else I like, too, is when you buy low. We just saw a team last week get absolutely throttled by the Dallas Cowboys when they were trying to hang in the playoff race. So now you figure they're probably not going to make it in, but also you're talking about a divisional foe, and one of the things that we always like to look at, if you're the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy, your goal in this football game is not like college football where you need to run it up the score to win the polls. You need to win this football game by 1 point because you know why? The biggest game of the season that's going to decide whether or not you get home field advantage is not this week. It's next week versus Seattle. Yes, the Niners have to win this week. Yes, they're going to have to go up and beat the Seattle Seahawks next week. But still, this is a talented Rams football team that's getting a little bit healthier. And also, look, Higbee's been great at tight end. But you know who's coming back also? Gerald Everett, who's had a solid season up to missing the past 2 to 3 games. Their offense is going to be full go. And also, when you take a look at the 49ers, I like them. I'm still going to hold on as the 49ers to be my pick to win the Super Bowl. I'll stay with that. But when you're looking at 2 of the past 3 weeks that they did lose and losing close games, you shot it out with New Orleans and you lost that football game. Last week against a team that had no business even hanging around, ended up beating you last week on your home turf. I think the Rams will be ready. I think the Rams will be excited. Do I know if the Rams are going to win? Probably not. But that same scenario exists out there, Jimmy. If I'm looking at this game, I'll wait to see if the 7's not there. But if it's not, I agree with the Rams with you on this week, Jimmy.
I love hearing that. Dennis Garcia, and I understand this mindset, Dennis, because I don't trust Goff on the road. I don't trust Goff with an injured thumb. I don't trust the Rams, who were effectively eliminated from the playoffs. Yes, they were effectively eliminated from the playoffs, sure. But McVay up against Shanny, McVay wants to beat Shanahan. McVay wants to end this season feeling good about himself. Jay-Z said, buy low on the 49ers too, losing to Atlanta. Look, I was all over Atlanta. I didn't have the balls to take them on the money line, and I got very lucky with the over. Extremely lucky. About time. Get a little bit of luck. Tasha says 49ers will cover, and I want as many people on the 49ers as possible. as possible. Major Tom says, I want to take the Rams, but I just can't trust them to show up. No one's talking about the Weston Richburg injury. No one. And it's massive. Rams +7 on my card. Donnie, this total at 44.5. You had a free play to make on the total. Where would you go?
It's too low. It's too low because look, I know they both have very good defense. They can both rush the passer. But when you take a look at it somewhere in the mid-40s with nice weather and have weapons, because arguably, Jimmy, if you had two coaches that you need to go into a game and say, I need somebody to dial up a game plan that can really get after two good defenses, it would be these two football coaches. They're healthy on offense. They're both going to score here.
Interesting. I have not made a move on a total yet. I was hoping to add some of this. Jake Bell said I laid the 6 early with the Niners. Injuries make me nervous. They should. They should, because I don't even know if I'd play Sherman and K1 if I didn't have to. If I could keep K1 Williams and Sherman, if I could give Sherman another week off, I would do that. Tasha M says Patriots will beat down the Bills. They want everybody to underestimate them. Look, I am underestimating them. And when I saw that trick play in that first series, I pointed at the TV and I laughed. That's how cocky I was. Down 7-0. All right. And Gas Station Sushi, max bet on the under in the Rams and Niners first half. Wow. Eddie Obason saying Bills won't be able to move the ball. Will the Patriots? All right. And Joe Rich says Sherman is a go. I know he's a go. He's been saying it all week. But he's hurting. All right, there's a play I'm bullish on. Rams +7. When Whale Capper joins us, I will definitely be asking him about this spot. I don't know what his action is this weekend. It's not up on his Twitter feed. Let's move on to Jaguars, Falcons. Jaguars, Falcons, the first game on Sunday, part of the 11 a.m. here batch. -7.5 the Falcons open at. They were at even money, -7.5. They're now -7.5 at +106 at Pinnacle. There are 7s on the board at a bunch of different books. The total is at 45.5 opening and has gone all the way up to 47 everywhere. 46.5 at Pinnacle. 46.5 at Pinnacle. Both teams coming off big road wins. You know, the Jaguars still have a good defense on paper, and they showed up. They showed up, and they cost me, man. They cost me bad. 16-3 at the half. I felt like I was in business. My Raiders team total over, and the Raiders -6.5. But that's what I get for trusting Gruden and the Raiders. It just feels like this is too big of a spread for two football teams that lack an identity. You don't really know what you're going to get. They're both coming off of big wins. This was a pretty easy stay away from me, Donnie. Jaguars, Falcons, pretty easy spot. Eddie Obason says Jags quit. I mean, they fought last week after they were getting embarrassed. And Gas Station Sushi liking this, like Bills first half money line max bet. Wow. And Gerald Jones max betting Atlanta first half. I do understand that. And Gas Station Sushi max betting on Rams team total. Wow. Let's hear what you have to say about this spot. Donnie, it's tricky. Jaguars, Falcons.
Yeah, I'm not going to make an official play on this game, but I'm in the same boat as most people. You just see Atlanta. Like, I like to see Atlanta +7, +10, +3.5, hang around. I don't like to see Atlanta as a -7 favorite. And the one thing you can say is we did think Jacksonville quit on the season, right? That's why a lot of people had the Raiders last week, and they go in there down double digits in the second half and say, you know, we didn't quit yet. Let's play this out, see what happens. They end up getting a beneficial call from the referees, winning that football game. And probably the biggest boost of the entire locker room is Tom Coughlin got fired this week. So now you can actually come in, relax, and come in on time. You can look at a clock and it actually reads the right clock. You don't have to guess to actually see if it's 15 minutes late or early for some type of mind trick. I think they're going to be loose playing this weekend. I think they can keep it close, but it just comes down to the fact, Jimmy, Atlanta's a 7-point favorite. You are what your record says you are. I don't think they're that good. Do I think they're going to win the football game? Yeah, I think they're going to win, but that means they're going to win by 10 or 14 points. I think Jacksonville has enough to keep it close in this game, but it just comes down to Atlanta's a touchdown favorite, and I'm not buying into that.
So would you take the Jags here plus the points?
If I had to make a play, I'm not taking Atlanta, so I would take the Jaguars, yes.
But staying off at this point.
Yeah, I won't be anywhere near. This game has way too many we don't cares, and we maybe said, hey, we went on the road and won a big game. We're going to relax for Atlanta, or Jacksonville won last week and says, phew, Tom Coughlin's not here. I don't have to worry about my future. I'm out of here anyway. There's a lot of derivatives in here, but I'm not taking Atlanta favored by a touchdown. No way.
Dash is right, saying they played Oakland. I get that, but still, it makes me very uncomfortable, this spot. You want to take money out of your pocket and put it on one of these two teams. David Stewart says, Falcons playing for coach's job. You hear Matty Ice's quote, I do not expect Dan Quinn to be there come next year. Tasham says, Atlanta at home, easy. I find it a difficult game. Let's move on to Saints, Titans. Been hearing a lot of people liking the Titans here, and I can understand some of the narratives, some of them. New Orleans opening up as a road favorite, -3 at +102. It's 2.5s across the board unless you are shopping at Bovada. Bovada's still hanging at 3 at +105. This total opened up at 51.5. Now we have, depending on where you shop, 49.5s, 50s, and 50.5s. I am just not certain that the Titans have the firepower to answer the Saints. And we've been talking about Drew Brees' arm all season long, and it's starting to look good. And maybe that 7 weeks or whatever it is off is going to help him now, because he's starting to get a little bit of zip on the ball. And I've got futures on the Saints. So my NFC plan is to make a big bet on the 49ers first game and roll it over. And hopefully continue doing that until glory, and knowing that I've got the Saints in my back pocket. Saints, Titans, 51 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 6 miles per hour is the wind in Nashville. Donnie, take it away. Saints, Titans.
It's a really good game, and it's going to be a great game to watch. But again, we sort of set it up, with the Houston Texans and what they can or can't do. It's going to be interesting because this game is on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Houston plays and can basically wrap up the division, which then plays into Tennessee's head saying, well, the Steelers hold the tiebreaker and they play the Jets, and then they're probably going to get the Baltimore Ravens that, don't need to win anything, and Lamar Jackson be on the bench. It's almost like you're watching, like you would look at this game, Jimmy, to me, and say on Houston on Saturday. It's one of those maybe wait and see type approaches. And you rarely get those throughout the season unless you're in week 16 and 17. Because if Tampa Bay upsets the Houston Texans, that is a green light that Tennessee is going to be all in on a rocking atmosphere, knowing they need to win this football game and they can go down and win the division next week. But if the Houston Texans win and celebrate, you get that deflating look because they are human beings. And yes, they're supposed to be just focused on their one game. But that job of getting the playoffs just got so much harder because Houston knocked out one of their avenues to the playoffs. And I do look at that. But also, you want to take a look and say, well, New Orleans hasn't been outside in over a month since October the 17th. And they had an emotional win last week. They beat Indianapolis, who really looks like they packed it in. But Drew Brees got the record. Now you're going on the road. And you'll see what happens to see if you can maybe get that bye, and you're still going to play for that. But your division has already been wrapped up. Tennessee, I'm telling you, if on Saturday, if the Houston Texans go down, I'm going to be all over the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. Otherwise, probably just sit it out here.
That angle makes a ton of sense. We need to know if the Saints are going to put their best foot forward here, and we'll only know that after Saturday. That's your breakdown, Donnie?
Exactly. I would feel a lot more confident getting a clearer picture. Like if we bet it ahead of time and you say, well, I think the Saints, or I think Houston's going to win, so therefore, then I probably would be leaning Saints. But this is the NFL. That's a 3-point line. And if Jameis Winston pulls that game out, Tennessee is like, our path is clear. Let's go handle business. I would be much more inclined to take them if Houston does lose.
Yeah. No, that's a very smart angle. Shout out to all the guys joining us. Deer Slayer Ski in the house as well. Nick O says Titans outdoors with a straight up win. Titans outdoors with a straight up win. Jake Bell said Saints here to win the Super Bowl. Breeze is growing horns. He's the true GOAT. I am comfortably off that game. Here's another game that I feel like I'm going to be comfortably off. Giants, Redskins. Washington opening up at -2.5. 5 dimes gone down to 1.5. Bookmakers gone down to 2. There's a bunch of 1.5s. Bet Online, Bovada, Heritage. This total opened up at 42. It's dropped a full point or a half point at every book. Giants, Redskins. the weather in Washington on Sunday, 43 Fahrenheit, sunny, 5 miles per hour. Nice football weather for this time of year on the East Coast. Saquon looks healthy and looks great. Hey, it's never too late. Never too late. And do we know, Donnie, is it a fact that Jones is going to be starting for the Giants? Do we know that
Correct.
is a fact?
For a fact. That is a fact, yes.
Jones will be starting. And you know that he... if I was going to take the Giants now, after watching Eli have a couple nice weeks and Daniel getting to watch, I think having Daniel at center makes me closer to backing the Giants. But I'm still timid to put money out of my pocket and make a move on this game. Giants, Redskins, Donnie, is there a move you're making?
Yeah, you know, I'm actually close to a move because I look at this and say, in no way, shape, or form should Washington ever be favored in the NFL. You have a rookie quarterback who's poor. I mean, okay, he showed up against the Eagles, which a lot of people show up against the Eagles defense last week. They have one wide receiver that if you can somehow take him away, they have absolutely nothing else but an ancient wheelchair running back to go along with it. You look at their defense on the side of the ball. They lost Ryan Kerrigan, their top sack guy on the season. The number one cornerback in Pro Football Focus probably again is going to miss this weekend, which struggled against an Eagles passing game last week. Fabian Moreau also looks like he's going to miss the opposite side starting quarterback. And Landon Collins, the safety, has sat out all week with an Achilles injury, saying he's going to give it a go on Sunday. When you try to take a look at the positives for the New York Giants, you know what the best positive? Eli Manning's not going to play in this football game. He's not going to turn it over 4 or 5 times and just sack himself when nobody's around there. If Daniel Jones' ankle is healed sufficiently, he's going to make some plays with his feet. Saquon Barkley, another week removed from his injury, he looked really good last week. Your wide receivers are back. Now, you're down a little bit at the tight end position, but the Giants are overall the better team, and they're getting points in this game. I just can't. There's no way I can bet the Washington Redskins. And since Eli's been sat down, Daniel Jones is in. That's a positive for the Giants. I like the Giants here, Jimmy.
I have heard looks from cappers that I listen to and respect who think the Giants will take care of business in this spot. Nico on the other side says, love the Redskins in this spot. They are still fighting. Jake Bell says, Redskins pull it out. And then Udon Porn, Aratina Factory in the house. Great to see you, says Giants. Sharper Focus talking about Giants letting go their top cover corner. Riku Roxas backing the Redskins. Wow, more people backing the Redskins than I thought here. Nico says Haskins is improving and question Jones' efficiency after being out. This is a game I don't want to watch and certainly don't want to be sweating over Giants, Redskins. Let's talk about a game I do want to make a move on, and that's the Steelers at -3 at the Jets. 44 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 5 miles per hour. I did take a -3 at -110, and I felt like it was a no-brainer. Juju may be back. Do we know, Donnie, if he is back?
He has no injury designation, so they're going to work him out pregame. But if you practiced him full all week in a big game, he's probably going to give it a go here.
Connor is healthy. The offensive line is good. And to me, with the Steelers trying to lock up a wild card, I just feel like I'm betting on their defense. Their defense is going to swallow up the Jets' offense. And I don't care if Jamal Adams is here. I'm making a bet on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, simply put. And I think I'm going to take care of business with these Steelers. They open up at -3 at -108. It's still -3. There's been a 9-cent move towards them. The best you can get right now is at -110 at Heritage. This total opened up at 39 and dropped all the way down to 37. Deerslayer Ski, Juju full practice last 2 weeks. Sean Mick says Steelers are the bet of the week. Deerslayer Ski on Pittsburgh. Donnie, take it away. We like the Steelers here. Should we have trepidation?
No, I don't think you should, because if you look at playing out the stretch is what we mean what the New York Giants are doing, or New York Jets are doing. The Steelers are probably going to make the playoffs, and they need to win this football game. Now it's going to go an extremely long way. Last 3 games, if we take a look at the Jets, they got embarrassed to the Cincinnati Bengals. The one win Cincinnati Bengals. Then they play the Miami Dolphins. That ends up 22-21. And then you play the Baltimore Ravens. You don't even show up, and you get housed when you level up in competition and embarrassed. So now you're saying with the Jets, what's their motivation? Oh, we want to play well, and we would like to beat. You're not going to beat the Steelers because the Steelers need this victory with maybe the single best defense in the NFL, which we saw a quarterback on the opposite side saying to himself, I saw Ghost against a New England defense. He's going to see Ghost again because his wide receivers, Robbie Anderson, he's banged up, might not play in this football game. Also, Demaryius Thomas banged up, might not play in this football game. So you're telling me just Le'Veon Bell is going to be enough to get us through to victory. And then when you take a look at the Steelers, well, we really don't like their offense that much. But if you look at the Steelers as a whole, this is the healthiest this Steelers team has been for the entire season. You saw coming back out of his injury shell last week out of running back Connor and looked pretty good doing it. He's another week removed from that shoulder injury. He should be able to get a full load in this game where you're running 2 and 3 running backs into the game. Juju Smith-Schuster, whether or not he makes big plays in this game, you have to account for him. And you also had the 2 younger wide receivers get a lot of quality playing time over the past 3 to 4 weeks. The Steelers are healthy. The Jets are not. The Steelers win this football game, and they're going to win it by margin here, Jimmy.
I love hearing that. Dan Kelly saying, am I nervous that Le'Veon Bell is going to have a big game? Not in the tiniest bit. Not at all. He's not the Le'Veon Bell we remember. And, do you think the Steelers want to destroy him? Like, who would I trust? Le'Veon Bell having a giant game or the Steelers wanting to shut his mouth? Because I would have more trust in the Steelers shutting him down. We got Ragu in the house. Says Bucks are in trouble this week. Dan Kelly says Bell's going to hear some boos. That is for sure. Duck Hodges does not instill confidence. But as Donnie's breakdown, it's all about their defense. It's all about their defense swallowing up this Jets offense. Dennis Garcia says, I like taking the points with that Steelers defense at home. I can't lay points with that offense on the road. Look, I get it. And what do you make of that statement of Dennis Garcia, a great capper whom we love? I can't lay points with that offense on the road. What do you think of that comment? How do you answer that?
Well, if I think a team is going to win the game, they're at least going to win it by 3, right? I'm not going to say, well, I like the Steelers and I think they can win by 1. That's really not the game plan you're going to take. But when you're looking overall, like, okay, 5-game snapshot. They beat the Washington Redskins, who are horrendous. Talking about the Jets. They beat the Oakland Raiders, who are now turned out that they are actually horrendous. Then you played another horrendous football team and got beat. You played another horrendous team and needed a kick at the gun to beat them. And then when you played a team that's in the playoffs and looking to do something, you were flat out embarrassed. That's what I see in this football game. When you're betting teams in week 16 and week 17, some guys are putting in the time while the other guys are saying, yo, man, we got 2 games left. Did you book that Vegas trip yet? Good, man. Yeah, we're in. That's the negative of saying the Jets are going to – maybe in week 7 the Jets are going to show up. Week 16, oh, Jesus Christ, this defense coming after us. I hope I don't die in the offseason. That's what they're thinking about.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Rico Roca says Adam Gase doesn't even like Le'Veon. I don't even like Adam Gase. I don't like either of them. Let's move on to Bengals Dolphins right now. And Donnie, I came close to betting the Dolphins, and I stopped myself. I was like, you don't have to do this. I don't need to force action here. Dolphins open up at -1. Very interesting move towards the Bengals. Bengals now the favorite. Total opened up at 46. It's now either at 46 or 45.5. 77 Fahrenheit. Scattered thunderstorms, 18 miles per hour. Bengals staring at number 1 pick in the face. Dolphins have looked worse the last couple weeks. And when I first looked at this line, I thought it was just a recency bias, but how bad they looked on the road. I mean, their last home game, they beat the Eagles. Now, I know that's not saying a ton, but Flores is a good coach, and I know that the Bengals are more respectable with Dalton, but they're devoid of any kind of talent. And I wanted to make a move on the Dolphins, and I just stopped myself. Donnie, is there a move to make here, Bengals, Dolphins?
To be honest with you, I don't think there is, because no matter what, there's no 3-point line here. There's no 4, there's no 7 that says, hey, we can really play hard and still get the cash. One of these teams has to actually win the football game to get you paid. And we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals with 1 win, who should have their only job on the season being, you know what? Let's lose so we can actually move on and get the number 1 pick and maybe take Joe Burrow. From the Miami perspective, I mean, yeah, you want to win, but you're the Dolphins. You know, outside of having a miracle run in the second half against the Philadelphia Eagles, they're really porous. They were outplayed and physically and resoundingly beaten by the New York Giants. the week with the Jets and the Browns banged them around. I mean, teams are housing them. It's just simple in this game. There's such a full card and so many good games this weekend, including bowl games and, NHL hockey games and basketball games and NBA games. Sit back and say, you know what? Maybe I would have taken something on this. Look at that. The Dolphins won or the Bengals won. There's no reason why anybody should be factoring in anything that makes sense and putting your hard-earned money down on this football game.
Yeah, and that's basically how I ended up just staying off of it. I just don't need to force it. And Fam says in Fitzmagic we trust. That was my initial lean to it. And then I just stopped myself. There's a lot of options for us, as Donnie mentions. Let's move on to Panthers Colts. This was another spot where I also came close to making a move. I almost backed the Panthers, and I almost backed the over. After breaking it down a little more, I don't think I'm going to make a move on the side, but I could make a move on this total. Colts looked awful on Monday. I got the over on the Monday nighter at 45.5 after we did our show together on Tuesday, and then it went up to 49, and the Saints put up 34 points, and I didn't get to cash. Both teams eliminated, similar football teams. I just think it may be too many points, but I can't trust the Panthers' offense. I can still trust the Panthers' defense, but I do think points are going to be scored here. Tom Marino says Panthers' run defense is 32nd, idling over. That was the look that I came close to making, but I have not made a move here. Break it down for us, Donnie. Is there a move to make Panthers Colts?
Yeah, I think Indianapolis is going to win this game, and I do think they're going to win by margin. I just think one organization has a little bit more pride at this time, even though you say, well, wait a second. I mean, they were up 14 points against Tampa Bay, and the complete collapse in that game, you saw it coming when they went down to the Dome. Drew Brees night, prime time, he's going to set a record. We figured he would do that, and it is amazing that game actually didn't go over the total. So we would look at this go like, well, how the hell can we trust and go over? There's a lot of components that make sense, and I know you said maybe you can trust the Panthers defense a little bit. I don't know if I can. I mean, they're going to be down Shaq Thompson, who's, outside of Luke Kuechly, they don't have much. They have no secondary. They're not getting home. They're injured on the front line, and they do have two athletic linebackers that can quell. Now it looks like one is going to be down, so you're just left with Luke Kuechly in the middle. They should be able to run the football. They should be able to protect the quarterback, and even though when you're looking at T.Y. Hilton, he's getting healthier by the week and not so much on a pitch count, there's a lot of components playing in a dome, fast track. The one thing I don't know, because I like the over in this game, and I'm trying to pencil in and say, well, how much worse can Will Grier be than what we were seeing out of Kyle Allen the past couple weeks? Because I had a team total on Carolina last week, and I damn near thought that they were throwing the football game at the quarterback position, just throwing turnover after turnover after turnover. I think their offense can move the ball. I like the over, but I also think that Indianapolis, to me, is the better overall team. Now that the pressure's off, there's no playoff there. We know Frank Reich is going to go for every damn fourth down he can because there's really no reason not to. I think Indianapolis wins this game by 7 or more, and I do think we get points in this game, Jimmy.
Grier is the question mark. That Seattle game really so with about 6-7 minutes left, I was going to get a nice little double up. Seahawks -6 and under, was it 20? Was it just 20 and a half or 20? It was low 20s with the team
last week
with the Panthers, and it.
Yeah, it was low 20 and a half. Yes, correct.
Yeah, and then they went over, and the Seahawks pushed with those 2 late touchdowns. It was very, very irritating. So I do have interest in the over. There's no getting around that. What is your Will Grier prediction? What is your Will Grier prediction? Let me pull up the team total right now for the Panthers and see if you'd want to go over it this week. I know that you're interested in just the full game over, but what if I offered you this team total, and let's see if you would take it. Team props. Here we go. Panthers at 19.5. Would you go over or under?
Yeah, I would go over. Yeah, that would be an over because for you need both teams to participate is what I've been saying all year. If you have Indianapolis, and if I think Indianapolis is going to get to 28 points, that's going to leave the same type of problems that you had last week where if you were on Seattle, they don't have a great defense, which Indianapolis doesn't have a great defense. There's going to be a lot of time in the fourth quarter, 7-8 minutes to go, and you'll get one of those possessions, Jimmy, where they've scored 14 for the game, and it's 31-14. they're going to be able to dink and dunk their way down the field. Carolina's got some weapons. They have one of the best pass-catching running backs in the NFL, maybe in NFL history, with Christian McCaffrey. He'll still be playing in that football game. All they have to do is dump it down and walk down the field like they did versus Seattle. If you're giving me under 20, which when you just break it down, it's 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals in a dome, I think they're going to be able to get that, and I think Indianapolis is going to be able to get theirs.
Yeah. Dog Bry saying Colts. I agree, Colts roll, but that's a 27-17 final that Dog Bry is expecting, and that 27-17 final will not get you over the total that's sitting at 46.5. You're going to need more points. I screwed up here on their next game, and I should have taken the Broncos minus 6.5 when I could have. And now it's at 7, and I'm a little hesitant, especially when the weather coming out of Denver is gorgeous. I mean, can you imagine, Donnie, at Christmas, 61 Fahrenheit? 61 Fahrenheit in Denver, Colorado. Mostly cloudy, 4 miles per hour. The thought for me, and I still could possibly get on this, is that it feels like the Broncos are having a happy ending to their season, and it's the opposite for the Lions. They're in turmoil. They look terrible. Looks like the Broncos have found their quarterback. And if it was 36 and snowy and, 13 mile per hour winds, I'd be on the Broncos to smash. I don't like that it's nice weather, but I still think the Broncos may smash here. Let's see what kind of market moves we've got in this game. It opened at 7. There's still 6.5s. It did go down to 6.5. There's still 6.5s at Pinnacle and 5 dimes. 7 everywhere else. There were 6.5s available. This total opened up at 37.5, and I guess the weather reports have pushed it up to 38. Donnie, right side, Lions, Broncos.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you in your setup in this game. And I got to tell you, I was really, really close to looking at the Denver Broncos, both side and also team total for themselves. But I sort of pulled myself back to try to get a little bit more realistic, because really the cap is about what the Detroit defense has actually done this season. They've only held 2 opponents to 19 points or less. One of those teams scored 19, which was the Washington Redskins that are horrendous. And the other one was the Chargers back in week 2, only scored 10 points. Everybody else has had their way. Hey, Slay's back. Slay has not had a very good season overall. Their linebackers are injured and poor. Their safeties are poor. They have one player, Flowers, who could possibly get to the quarterback. But outside of that, they don't show any interest in doing much at all. And this is Matt Patricia, who Bill Belichick in. You're supposed to have a lot of defense, which we thought they would, and they don't. And then couple it down. You're right, Jimmy. 60 degrees, 3 or 4 mile an hour winds in Denver for a game. These are pristine conditions. Now, what I do like about Denver's offense is what we saw a few weeks back when they put up the 23 points against the Chargers to win that football game at home. Then they went on the road, and the young kid threw for over 300 yards and dominated the Houston Texans in a tough spot in his first road start. Then you saw last week, which I do take with a little bit of a grain of salt, because it was a lot of bad conditions. They were down in that football game. They're just trying to make a comeback. They weren't able to do it. But in the same time, Kansas City rolls up like 400 yards of offense when Denver really struggled. This should be a get-right game, and you're right. When you take a look at a first-year head coach, you want the momentum into the offseason. You want the quarterback to have a good time. This is one that he should actually be able to put up points. Really close, Jimmy, to taking Detroit's team total over 23. Still in play, but I needed to maybe get a little bit more reassurance here on that one.
Yeah, it was my fault. If I could get a 6.5 and not have to pay for it, I'd be on them right now. And I don't think they're going to turn up the 6.5s. A mistake. I think Broncos smashed the Lions in the mouth here. But again, the 61 Fahrenheit is another reason why I'm not making a move. Let's move on to Ravens-Browns. Ravens-Browns, Baltimore, Cleveland. Total at 49. It's gone up to 49.5. Baltimore opens up at minus 9.5. There are 10s now on the board at Bovada, BetOnline, and Pinnacle. The Pinnacle is at plus 109 if you want the 10. Nice weather in Cleveland this time of year. 45 Fahrenheit, sunny, 11 miles per hour. The Browns always show up against Baltimore, and I really don't believe that now, I should say I don't believe 100%, but I don't know how angry the Ravens are for that bad loss early in the season. So I guess it comes down to 2 points. Browns always show up against Baltimore, and I'm not getting in the way of the Ravens. And you put that together, and I have no bet on this football game. Donnie, are you making a move on Ravens-Browns?
I haven't made a move yet, but I think there's only really one way to go. You get extra time with the Ravens. They are absolutely annihilating people. They can wrap up the top seed. You can do it against the Cleveland Browns, who embarrassed you early in the season. And when we're taking a look at the Browns, this was a team that went to play Arizona, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, nothing on defense, and make a few plays on offense. That's the Arizona game plan. They got wrecked. The Browns got wrecked last week. So now you're telling me they are within an inch of everybody leaving, blowing it up. Wide receivers gone, maybe stick with Nick Chubb and Hunt and get rid of your quarterback and get rid of your head football coach and fire your general manager. I don't see one of those where, hey, Cleveland, let's have fun and we still might be in the playoff picture technically, but we're really not. There is an avalanche coming their way, and there's no way in hell that, do we think that they're going to come with a game plan that's going to be able to get after the Ravens? Do we think the Ravens are going to overlook the Cleveland Browns, who they want to beat worse than anybody? And also, they know that they celebrated the divisional championship last week, got extra time, got their partying out of their system over the weekend, then come back to work with a full 7 days to get ready they want to hammer this football team. To me, it's Baltimore Ravens or nothing here. And if we're even taking a look at the total, Mayfield's going to be boom or bust in this game, probably throw 2, maybe 3 picks, and he's going to be under pressure. But the more interesting reason to maybe even take a look at a Baltimore team total, Olivier Vernon's probably not going to play again. They have nothing. They have no pass rush whatsoever. So you're going to see a 7-step drop possibly by, Lamar Jackson with nobody around and tons of time to throw. I think they break Cleveland's back this weekend.
That is the most likely situation. But I really don't feel like they care about that loss from earlier in the season. They've proved themselves while the Browns have fallen apart. Riku Roxas says, everything says Ravens blowout, but Browns is a divisional opponent who've had success against you. Nate Dogg says, can't step in front of the Ravens. And Brandon Story, Baltimore wins by almost double the spread. Browns last week showed total disarray, players begging to be off the team. And that's what Donnie was getting at. I guess, after breaking it down, I guess the Ravens do just, win easily.
One of those sides, Jimmy, like if you're looking at this game and you say you want Cleveland, right? If Cleveland's going to cover this football game full, they're going to have to be up at the half to cover this game. So it's one of those where maybe not win one for the Gipper, but let's rise up and let's really play hard and see where those, the tables get turned. Because the one thing we know, if the Ravens are up 14-0 in the second quarter, they're going to cover that football game because they run the ball, they play really good defense, and they'll continue to put that beat down. If you like the Cleveland Browns, not even to say they're going to win the football game, but you're probably getting close to a touchdown. If they can't hang within a touchdown the first half, they're not covering full game.
Yeah. Yeah, we're 10 points is probably fine. Or if you can jump on the 9.5. Let's move on to Raiders, Chargers, and maybe the Ravens end up on my card now. Raiders, Chargers. I wanted the Chargers at 6.5 and should have taken them. There is a 6.5 at Heritage, so I could make an official play at 6.5, but I didn't want to make an official play at 6.5 if I wasn't going to bet it at 7, and I was hesitant to bet it at 7 right now. 7 at -110 at Bet365, and hesitant. 66 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 6 miles per hour. Just a shit show for the Raiders last week in Oakland. The last thing they had to play for, and they couldn't even do that. There is one thing going for the Raiders is that Carr is auditioning for a job, but no Jacobs, no Trent Brown. To me, this should be a Chargers cakewalk, but I don't like trusting the Chargers. Rivers always seems to bring it late in the year when nobody cares. If I could bet 6.5 right now, I would do it. But if 7's going to scare me that much, then I don't know how sound the play is. And so it's the same situation with the Chargers and the Broncos. Donnie, right side, Raiders, Chargers, you making a move?
You know what? This has a lot of the feel a couple weeks ago where he said, the Chargers are the way better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars, but we don't trust the Chargers, so you leave money on the table. And then you see last week, which my only loss last week was backing the Chargers, saying, you know what? Playing really well. Their defense has been amazing, and Kirk Cousins going on the road. I think the Chargers can rise up and beat this Minnesota team. And they got embarrassed, but not really. If you look statistically, it was on the scoreboard because if you're just going to turn it over 5, 6, 7 times in a game, you're going to get run right out of the building. And that's going to be, an anomaly, I like to say. So now you're looking at the Raiders. And what do we like about the Raiders this year? When they just got into playoff position, they absolutely fell apart. And it's not saying, well, now the pressure's going to be off. The Raiders can't make the playoffs. What the Raiders are showing us here is the pressure is off. So now your two best of, Trent Brown's going to be down in this game. Let's not forget, Richie Incognito has been amazing this year. He's not going to play in this football game either. So against that athletic front four that you're going to have with the Chargers, your two best offensive linemen are not going to be there. So you say, all right, how are we going to beat this down? How are we going to, make amends? Maybe play action pass is going to work. Let's run the football up the middle. Jacobs isn't playing in this game either. So now you're going to say, Carr, who got booed off the field in the last game in Oakland, the one last stand to thank the Raider fans, and you lost to one of the worst teams in football. Now you're going on the road. And I think John Gruden, I think that front office has already moved on to Vegas and says, you know what? As much as we would probably like to beat the Chargers, it's in our best interest to lose this game so we get a better draft pick. There's no more referendum on Carr. I don't think he's playing for his job anymore. We know John Gruden, and the old saying goes, if you watch TV, even ESPN, John Gruden's favorite quarterback is his next quarterback. I think he saw down the stretch what you get from Carr, where you can say, you know what? He's a good quarterback, but he's not the franchise guy we need that's going to lead us into the next millennium and win a couple Super Bowls here. I don't think that's the case. I think they are a dead team walking. As long as the Chargers don't turn it over 4 or 5 times, they should win this game and cover here.
They should. I mean, Jacobs out, Trent Brown done for the year. I mean, how are they going to get anything done? How are they going to put points on the board? Dennis Garcia says another game where both teams seem impossible to trust. Corey Mack in the house joining us. Tormino says Carr without Jacobs has no play action. Joe Ramirez says last second loss. If they would have won, Raiders would be -5 or -6 going into the game. Yeah, I don't.
What?
Yeah.
What was that comment? Read that again.
I think he meant +5 or +6 instead of +7. I think that's what Joe Rich meant. Because it obviously wasn't going to be a 12-point swing. I think he just makes the plus and the minus. You don't point rat in a facty like in the Raiders first half +3.5. Brandon Story says Raiders fans will all be in that building, or they sold their tickets this week after watching what happened last week. Reese in the house. Yeah, if I could have got 6.5, I probably would have done it already. Okay, let's move on to Cowboys Eagles. We all been excited to hear Donnie talk about this game after he gave us a little hint about the excitement. I'm in a bad spot, Donnie, with my future. I'm not in a bad spot overall with the futures. I had over 6.5 wins for the Bills. I had under 5.5 wins with the Dolphins. I had under 1,125.5 rush yards for Le'Veon. I had the Rams under 10.5 wins. Chiefs to win the AFC, Chiefs to win the Super Bowl before the season started. But then there is trouble. I had the Eagles over 9.5 wins. It was a loss. I had the Eagles win the NFC East at +100. And sadly, I had $100 on Eagles to win the NFC and Eagles to win the Super Bowl. So, sure, I could hedge here with the Cowboys. 45 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 7 miles per hour, division, playoffs, everything on the line here. Let's see what the market is telling us. Dallas opens up at -2. That's where they stand. Pinnacle's taking it down to 1.5. This total at 47.5 is now at 46.5 or 46. Donnie, take it away. Cowboys and your Eagles.
It's going to be fun, and I'm going to enjoy the football game, but we got to cap it honestly. And there's no bigger Eagles fan. I mean, me and I celebrated, and again, I always say this, Jimmy, like my wife doesn't watch the show. My favorite day of my life probably was the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I spent it with you. Pete was down there. Gabe was down there. The whole SBR crew. It was one of the singular best days of my entire life. And I have to preface that by saying, yes, I'm a huge Eagles fan. But there's money to be made, and money is more important than fandom at many times. Here's the gist of the football game that you want to break down and get into. The Eagles are in really good hands with Carson Wentz. He's going to be a good quarterback for the next decade. We all understand that. But when the rubber meets the road, they lost to the Miami Dolphins 3 weeks ago. Okay. Then they come back, and they should have lost to the Giants. Now, credit. Wentz putting the team on his back. They won the game in overtime. Shouldn't take you to be overtime at home to beat the New York Giants, who were dead in the water, starting a quarterback that was like, my God, I'm almost at retirement. Why are you putting me back in the line of fire? And then last week you saw the Redskins. Dwayne Haskins is a horrendous quarterback, and they're on a horrendous team. They should have lost that game as well to the Washington Redskins. So now we say, Donnie, what about those Dallas Cowboys? They've been really underachieving. Yes, but there's a difference from underachieving and having your ceiling game. What's the Eagles' ceiling game? It was last week beating the Redskins on a last-second drive. That's the Eagles' ceiling. You know what the Dallas Cowboys' ceiling is? Pasting teams like the Rams last week when the Rams still have a lot to play for. When you look at teams that are healthy, the Eagles are not healthy. Last week, the Eagles did not sack the Washington Redskins quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, with a very average to below average offensive line. You're getting a level up in offensive line this week. Yes, you see Dak Prescott hasn't thrown the football all week. But I did a lot of research on this because I remember a game that I had a couple years ago was in January of 2016. Ben Roethlisberger didn't throw a football all week long. Oh, my God, the Steelers are going to get their backs broken in Denver because their quarterback has to hand off and run a triple option all game. Very first play of the game, he throws a 55-yard pass for an incompletion, ends up throwing 37 times in that game for well over 300 yards. Dak Prescott has an injury designation that was taken completely off. He's not even on the injured list. He's going to take a shot. He's not going to feel any pain in that shoulder, and the offense is going to be able to move the football. This offensive line, this running game, these wide receivers, this isn't the Giants, the Redskins, and the Miami Dolphins. This is a high-octane top 3 offense in the league that you're going to ask Carson Wentz to return fire back with Greg Ward at wide receiver and Miles Sanders a rookie, and you're down your best right tackle in this game. The Dallas Cowboys are completely healthy for this game. The Eagles are limping in. So I close in saying this, Jimmy. I will root my ass off and pray that the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Dallas Cowboys. But I bet the Dallas Cowboys with my personal players and on this show. I don't see any way you can take the Eagles unless you just bet them as a fan, which I am a fan, and I'm taking the Cowboys to win this game.
Yeah, and I should too. It's time to let go of these futures. $600, $200 on the over 9.5. That's already lost. $200 on them to win the NFC East, $100 in the NFC and Super Bowl. I should submit and take a little bit back. Is what I should do. The Eagles can the Eagles. It's the NFL. The Eagles can win. They play well at home. But if Dak Prescott is just average in this football game, it's a monumental uphill climb for the Eagles. Their secondary gets burned. Like, you're talking about Dwayne Haskins lighting the secondary up. Fitzmagic lighting the secondary up. Eli Manning in the first half when the Giants were throwing the football, lighting their secondary up. I want the Eagles to win, but I don't see a pathway unless Dallas Cowboys absolutely implode the entire game. And then the Eagles probably will still need a last-second drive to win it. That's the way I see it. Dan Kelly brings up an interesting point. He says, you know that Philly D is going to be looking to fall on Dak's shoulder early in that game. Dak's props under. I mean, now is the time for dirty tricks, Donnie. You think that could be in the cards?
I do. Look, I'm telling you, all week long, oh, this is a really big injury because the Eagles have lucked out in the past playing the Dallas Cowboys in a Week 17 game, winner take all. The Eagles, instead of getting Tony Romo, got Kyle Orton a couple years ago. Here's the designation. Now, and again, you're jumping the gun a little bit here on Dak because I think he's going to play. I think he's going to be fine. I don't think there's going to be any issues, and their talent will take over. But if you get a little bit leery when you see on Saturday that maybe Clayton Thorson, the third-string running back, gets activated for the Cowboys, maybe there's something there. But every body language from the team, from everything coming out of it, Dak looks like he's just saving his arm, saying, I'm going to get the shot, and I'm going to be able to throw fine, and don't worry about me. And I believe him at this point. I do. He's a tough guy.
Jook says Wentz has a talent to win the game by himself. Kenny Dorsey says, what about the over-under for the Dallas-Philly game? Donnie, what do you think about this total that's gone either a point or a point and a half down from its original 47.5?
I agree, but again, it's going to be nice weather, 45, 46 degrees, not much wind, which always helps. But if there is something to Dak Prescott's arm, maybe he's not firing on all cylinders, and you want to lean more on Zeke, which they probably will. And you look at the Eagles side of the ball, their big plays come on 3rd and 9 draw plays, Jimmy. They don't come on Carson Wentz 7-step drop, lighting it up down the field to Greg Ward for 70 yards. For the Eagles to score, it's going to take 6, 7, 8, 9 play drives. And I think the Cowboys will counter. A smart coach, which sometimes Jason Garrett isn't, you're going to say, hey, let's not make the mistake. I don't know if the Eagles can score on us and we'll lean on Zeke. We'll see if that happens in this game. But I would lean towards the under in this game. I would.
Zachary Derrick says Cowboys all the way. Tormino says Eagles pass rush other than Cox is garbage. I don't see them getting any pressure on Dak. They've had some games where they could stop the run. Let's talk about the Eagles' defense. Can they get pressure on Dak, and can they slow Zeke down?
I don't think so. Like Derek Barnett, who was, you were keying on this year to take that big next step forward. He's been injured the whole year. Watch practice all week. So even if he plays, he's going to be down. You're relying on guys like Vinny Curry, older veterans, and Fletcher Cox. Look, Fletcher Cox isn't going up the middle on just some randos that play, guard or center. These are Pro Bowl caliber players that if you handle him, it's going to be all on Brandon Graham to get pressure. They don't blitz very well, and their secondary is suspect. So if we're looking at it from that perspective, if you can't really bury Eli Manning with 6 or 7 sacks, or you can't even touch Dwayne Haskins, what gives me a lot of vibes that, boy, they're going to blow this Cowboys offensive lineup this week. I don't have that much feeling towards that.
Reese says Zeke will eat. I will hedge these mistakes of futures that I made on the Eagles. I will hedge. I did have 400 on the Bills total and the Dolphins total, so it's not all a horror show. And Seven Deep said that Eagles boys game should have been flexed to Sunday night. I agree. Should have been flexed Sunday night. Now we get to the Cardinals Seahawks. Look, this is a pretty simple play for me on the Cardinals. Although if it was that simple, I should have made it earlier in the week. I got the 10 at minus 121 here on the show. I betted at 9.5. It was too much juice to get the 10 for the Cardinals. But this is pretty simple to me. The 10 is available at Pinnacle for not too much juice. The total is at 51 right across the board in Arizona, Seattle. 44 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 5 miles per hour. Nice weather for the Pacific Northwest over the holidays. Cardinals can play spoiler against a divisional opponent, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Kingsbury can have some fun here. Really, against a divisional opponent. You can reach into the bag of tricks, open up the playbook, and I expect the Cardinals to be a menace. I expect the Cardinals to be tough and to cover this spread. And bet it at 9.5. It should have got it at 10. It was a lackadaisical early week behavior by me is at fault. But yeah, I like the Cardinals here. I like the Cardinals a lot. And I expect Cliff to have fun. I expect Kingsbury to have fun in a divisional game and Kyler to do his thing and to enjoy going up against Russell Wilson. And I expect this game to be very enjoyable to watch. But I will be watching Cowboys-Eagles. Cardinals, Seahawks. Donnie, take it away.
I agree, Jimmy. I think you're on the right path here because a lot of things end up in your favor in this football game, and it's the same reason we talk about maybe why you would like the Rams is because next week is basically like a Super Bowl caliber game that's probably going to decide it. So if you're looking to bet against the 49ers just want to win. They want to win and get to next week. Seattle Seahawks, the same exact boat. And also you're looking at maybe playing that edge, saying if you're Pete Carroll, we have a lot of injured guys on defense. I think we can beat the Cardinals without these guys, and hopefully they'll be healthy for that Week 17 game against the 49ers. And the one way that Arizona operates and operates really well, Jimmy, is if you don't have a front four that can just annihilate your front, you're going to have success. And that's not going to be the case. Like Ziggy Ansah's probably going to play in this game. Clowney's probably going to miss this game. Bobby Wagner, who's the quarterback of the defense and a future possible Hall of Famer, he's probably going to miss this game too. Michael Kendricks, your most athletic linebacker, he hasn't played in a couple weeks with a hamstring, probably going to miss this also. Your number one corner, he's also going to probably miss this. And yes, remember when he traded for Diggs at the deadline and he's going to shore up the secondary? He's going to miss this game as well. If you're talking about 5 guys on defense that are your 5 best players probably not going to play, I'm really not going to be able to lay 10 points on your side, even though I think Russell Wilson's going to ring the bell and score points against Arizona. But I think Arizona's going to be able to counter in this football game. I think we'll get a lot of points. I think they'll be able to keep it under that 10 and cash that ticket for you, Jimmy. And a fun game to watch overall. I don't want any part of Seattle's defense. They're horrendous, and they're going against a team that can put up some points against them.
Oh, absolutely. And if that's the case, I wish it wasn't so high, but do you think you can get over that 51?
I do. Yes, I do. Because you're going to look at Arizona throwing everything in the kitchen sink out. And the one thing we know about Rush, Jimmy, the theme that we always talk about is if you push Seattle's offense, they'll answer the bell. And there's not much resistance. This isn't the Steelers or the Rams or, oh, man, I can't believe this. This is a defense that doesn't get much pressure to begin with and is really bad in the secondary. They're going to put up points in this game. And also, Jimmy, again, the key this week, nice weather. They're going about 3-mile-an-hour winds and no rain in Seattle and above 40 degrees. Sign me up.
That over might be a nice addition. A very nice addition. Tormino says Seattle's defense was trash at the end of the Carolina game with Wagner out. Oh, God, it just destroyed me. I literally thought I was going into the afternoon games in incredible shape. There was a one loss. It was going to be one loss on my card, and I was going to be easy 4-1. Instead, I went into the late games 2-1. And that's with hitting the Patriots and the Bengals team total under. It was extremely aggravating. Tom Marino says I'd lean over. Zachary Derrick says Arizona amazing against the spread. Sean Mick says I find it hard to believe the records of Seattle and the Packers. We're certainly seeing that on the Monday Nighter right now. People do not trust the Packers whatsoever. Tom Marino says Arizona has been great all year against the spread as big dogs. Billy Boxer says Seattle wins games, but not by a touchdown or more. And Tormino says if San Francisco wins Saturday, this game means nothing to Seattle. And they're certainly playing that way with the decisions of who to keep out of off the field. They're certainly, Pete Carroll certainly letting us believe that. The over might be very, very interesting. Martin Riggs says worst beat of my life was the end of the 49ers game. I had the under. That was appalling for you guys that were on the under. It was just, that's as bad as it can be, Martin. I hear you. Chiefs -6 at the Bears. I made the Chiefs -6 a bet. I was not too concerned that I didn't get the 5 or 5.5, although it was a mistake. 44 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 11 miles per hour. That's Chicago at Christmas. Sounds pretty nice. Chiefs are looking better and better and better. Chiefs, they just look like their defense. How's the Honey Badger not get the Pro Bowl spot? Earl Thomas over the Honey Badger this year is ridiculously poor decision. This total opened up at 45. It's now at 44.5. This defense continues to improve. The Bears are eliminated. My Chiefs futures look great. I was beating myself up all the early part of the year for not having the Patriots at 7-1 in my pocket. Now it feels great. It feels great. I mean, sure, would I like to have a Raven stick in my pocket? Sure. But I'm on the Chiefs, -6. I think they win by more than a touchdown here against the Bears. I don't like having road favorites at this number in my pocket, but I have them. Chiefs -6 and -103. Donnie RightSide, Chiefs Bears.
I think we're going to get points in this game. And again, you're getting nice weather in Chicago. This is supposed to be 3 or 4 inches of snow, windy conditions, barely any fans in there because Chicago's out of it. But now you're going to get a nice holiday surprise. Now, when you take a look at the one interesting thing here is I did take the over 44 for the show. Is when you look at Kansas City's defense and what they've allowed. 3 points, 16, 9, and 7. This is Kansas City. They're supposed to be getting lit up on defense, not holding teams to under 20 points and twice holding teams to under double digits. That's pretty impressive. But the one thing when you're saying, Mitchell Trubisky, you can't trust Mitchell Trubisky, I understand it. But his last 4 games, 270 yards passing, 331, 231, and 319. Now, sometimes the actual scoreboard doesn't reflect it, but I look more at what the offenses are actually doing, gaining yardage, as opposed to actually scoring. I think they'll be able to score against Kansas City. And yes, the Chicago Bears have a good defense, but you're talking about in snowy conditions, which is supposed to delay the Kansas City offense. They rolled against a top 5 defense last week in the Denver Broncos. They'll do the same in nice weather. They're just hitting their stride. They are as healthy as they're going to be on offense. They'll put it up. And from a Chicago Bears perspective, what do you want to see? Mitchell Trubisky continue on playing good football, even though they're not making the playoffs. You're going to open it up. It's 4th and 1. You're going for it in this football game. I think we'll get over the 44, but I do like, Jimmy, Kansas City needs this win. They should win by 7 here. I do believe that. I do too. Man, they've looked good lately. And very thankful to have the bets in my pocket. I just wish I bet more than $100 on them. $100 on Chiefs to win the AFC plus 375. $100 Chiefs to win the Super Bowl plus 800. I don't know why I had to be such a cheap bastard.
when the season started, but it is what it is. Chiefs -6, -103. I am on them, and I have bet them. And let's talk about the AFC picture right now, Donnie. If it's a Chiefs-Ravens final, you like the Chiefs, or you think the Ravens are going to take care of business?
I think the Ravens will take care of business. It's going to be hard for somebody to go into Baltimore against this football team that wins on every level and come out, because you're talking about now, we were worried about the defense in the beginning. Their secondary looks elite. Their linebackers can get after it. Their front line on the defensive line is great. And then you take a look at their offensive line, Jimmy. It's fantastic. They have multitude of running backs. They have a quarterback that's going to win MVP and tight ends that are making plays and speed at wide receiver. And oh, yeah, you have an unbelievable coaching staff coupled down with the best kicker in NFL history, and they're going to be home. Going to be tough to knock them off there, Jimmy. I'll still go with the Ravens here.
I have become interested in your over. Jay Pete says Chiefs probably score 40. Reese says over 44, absolutely. Tammy B says KC just lurking in the AFC, letting Baltimore steal all the attention. Thackeray Derek says Ravens will win the Super Bowl. Riku Roxa says Chiefs or Texans making Super Bowl unless Ravens avoid the Chiefs. Oh, interesting. Sean Mick says Bears are done. Chiefs could actually put 44 on them themselves. So my question is, with the Chiefs playing so well defensively, Donnie, you think the Bears will put up enough points to get this over? I mean, what's your expectation? Let's just take a quick look at what the Bears team total is very quickly here. Bears team total is
like 19.5, 20, I think, in that range, right?
Yeah, 19.5. I mean, do you think the Bears get the 19 points in this game?
I think they do. I think they do. If I think they're going to go over the total, and I think Kansas City's going to win, it means that Chicago is coming from behind in this game. And look, Kansas City's defense has played much better, but it still is Kansas City's defense. You're going to get nice temperatures. And the one thing you're going to hang your hat on is Kansas City should move the tempo in this game. So theoretically, I saw a comment in there, well, they're going to 21-3. They were down to the Packers. That's going to mirage numbers. Well, they're probably going to be down 21-3 in this football game, which Trubisky throwing it around. The Bears have nothing to play for, which is actually a good thing for your offense, because your coordinator be like, hell, let's throw it deep. 4th and 3 at the 50. Let's go for it. That's going to lead to more points. And again, you're talking about Chicago. It's supposed to be 20-mile-an-hour winds and 20 degrees. That's not going to be the case. Kansas City will score, and I like the way that Trubisky's played the past 4 weeks combined, throwing for almost an average of 300 yards per game. I'll take that in this game.
This total opened up at 45. It's now 44.5 across the board. Did you see it going up?
I think it only has 44 is probably the lowest point it's probably going to get at this point. You're more likely to see 45 and a half than you are, because people are going to see it's the Kansas City Chiefs and nice weather. That's an automatic over for 90% of the public out there.
Let's move on to the Monday Nighter. I find some of these additions wonderful. I would like to add a couple spots here. Packers, Vikings, Monday Nighter. Man, people just not trusting these Packers, and I get it. Minnesota opening up at -4, now 5.5. It's total of 46.5, now 47. Are the Packers pretenders? That's the question, because the Vikings are a well-balanced team, rounding into form. Cousins playing very well. Yes, Rhodes is not the the Vikings don't have the secondary we remember. I'm interested in this over, Donnie. But 47 is a healthy number. But I'm interested in this over, and I wonder if the Packers are pretenders, or is this the spot when Rodgers is like, you really think they're 5.5 points better than us? Watch me keep us in this game. Donnie, RightSide, Monday Nighter, Packers, Vikings.
Here's what it comes down to me for Jimmy, because we're taking a look and you're trying to read spreads, right? So you're saying, like, let me get this straight. Opens up at 4.5. Dalvin Cook's one of the most exciting, most important key cogs in anybody's offense. He's not going to play. Oh, Madison's been a pretty good running back. He can come in and fill the need. He's not going to play either in this football game. You're down to a rookie running back and saying, I'm going to lean all on Kirk Cousins to win this game and throw us to a victory. And that line goes from 4 up to 5.5, and 6s were popping their head up at this point. And you know what it comes down to, Jimmy? Minnesota is going to do things on defense that are really going to stymie the Packers on offense. Number 2, it's hard for the Packers to go up and win this football game in a dome, knowing Minnesota needs this game more than the Vikings do. So then if you're going to, more than the Packers do. The Packers can lose this game. The Packers can lose by 50 in this game, show up next week and beat Detroit and win the division. And that's what they care about the most. Minnesota needs this game. They'll get this game.
They will get this game. But will they cover this? Zachary Derrick says Vikings will light it up, 350 pass yards. Zachary Derrick says Vikings roll. Riku Roxas taking Packers plus 5.5 and the money line. Okay. And this total, Donnie, at 47, do we try to sneak over it?
I don't know. You know what? Because Green Bay struggles against really elite pass rushes, which the Minnesota Vikings do have. And again, I'm seeing different, Sugar House 46, here in New Jersey, but 47 is the main number. If that goes down 46 in that range, if that's a number, I actually would lean over. But 47 or higher, I would take the under in that ball game.
All right. Well, there you have it. We have broken down each and every game on this card. Whale Capper was trying to get with us. He's trying to get out of what he's doing right now, but it looks like we are running out of time for him. Why don't we take a look at Donnie RightSide's action? Official plays coming up. Let's take a look at his action right now. And it looks like, we might get Whale Capper on the line. Okay, beautiful. While Whale Capper's setting up, Rafa, let's take a look at Donnie RightSide's action on this weekend's card. You're going to... What? We don't have the action. What do you mean? Oh, all right. Okay. Are you sure? I was told that those graphics were all in. Okay. All right. I guess we don't have the action. That is not the way. Okay. That's okay. That is not the way. I was hoping that we put a bow on this. I love that Whale Capper is joined us, but surprised that we don't have the action that I sent in. Okay. Here. Oh, we do have the action. Okay, all right. See, I was getting upset. Rafa could see. I was like, what? I sent that in. Okay, it's coming up. There is my action for today's card. Bills plus 6.5 plus 100. Rams plus 7 minus 110, which I think is my favorite look on this card. Steelers minus 3 at minus 110. Chiefs minus 6 minus 103. Cardinals plus 10 minus 121. Let's pop up Donnie RightSide's action. Texans minus 3. Colts minus 6.5. Cowboys minus 1. And Chiefs, Bears, over 44. And here he is, Whale Capper, coming in to put a bow on this show. Whale Capper, take the reins, man. What are your looks on this card that you are liking the best? Take it away and welcome.
Well, first of all, thanks for bringing me in. Happy holidays to you guys. I'm sad I couldn't join the full show today. Great to see you back on YouTube. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all the listeners, everybody in the chat box. Looking at your cards, all I saw was winners there. Everything looked like a winner, except I'm a little nervous that Donnie took the Cowboys over the Eagles. I'm on the Eagles this week. That's got me a little concerned because he's got a pretty dead read on the Eagles. But it should be a fantastic Week 16 of the NFL, and a lot of drama is going to play out these next couple of weeks, and especially in the NFC. So best of luck to you guys.
Well, let's hear first off, why are you on the Philadelphia Eagles? Because we certainly heard why people are going to back the Cowboys. Why are you on the Eagles?
I just love the idea of the atmosphere lifting up the players' motivations, getting these guys fired up. I think the defense can absolutely get after the quarterback. I love the defensive line and linebackers are all healthy for the Eagles, and I think they're going to make it a long day for Dak, who we know is dealing with the shoulder injury. The Cowboys have had a very difficult time tackling well this season. They're not performing at a level that we expected out of this crew. If you can attack them with Miles Sanders and the 2 tight end attack, I'm not even especially worried about the health of their wide receiving core. I think the Eagles are going to be able to score points, put pressure on this team, be physical. I think back to the Eagles when their backs were against the wall against the Packers in Week 4 and how hard that team played in that spot. I think it's in them. These guys are champions, and they can get the better of a weak-minded team like the Cowboys.
Wow, that is an exciting take. Whale Capper, we got to close up. My show starts in 11 minutes.
Yeah, of course, no worries.
What are your other looks on this card? Quickly, could you don't need to break them down, but could you just let them know what the actual spots are?
You and I are in line in a lot of ways. I loved your play on the Rams. I like that under as well. I like the Cardinals plus 10 is one of my favorite looks on the board. I backed the Chargers at 6.5. I backed the Bengals to get the win. against the sorry-ass Dolphins. And then I mentioned I'm on the under in the Rams game, and I like the over on Monday Night Football. That Packers-Minnesota game is going to go flying over the total, in my opinion.
Wow, that is everything that I wanted to hear from Whale Capper. That's your Christmas gift to me, just to have confidence coming into this week. Thank you for making time for us, man. I know this is the end of year for you, so it meant a lot that you could rush over as fast as possible and make an appearance on the show. We're very, very thankful. Donnie RightSide, my man, 2 weeks left in the season. Any last words for these great cappers in the chat and those watching at home?
Yes, very important here. It's week 16. Week 17, as we know, is the last week of the season, regular season. Do your homework over the weekend on who needs what. This is the 1 week of the season coming up, Jimmy, that you can steal money on Monday and Tuesday because you should know who needs what, who's not going to be playing, and who's going to be motivated. We've seen in the past 6-point swings in these games. Just do your homework, and you'll be able to pay your credit card bill off for all your holiday spending here, Jimmy. And thank you to the chat box, yes.
That's well put, and we all remember what happened to me on week 17 last year. Oh man,
you still have the card, right?
I had the Vikings.
I don't think there was a loser on the whole card. Right?
I almost took the toaster with me into the bathtub. Whale Capper, loved having you join us. Any last words for these great cappers in the chat? Those watching at home.
Oh, no, just thank you for all the support you've given us this year. It's been awesome to see this thing grow, and I hope you guys have been entertained and we've made you some money. And, look forward to hitting these playoffs.
Great to have you guys, and we will be back next Friday, and then moving forward into the playoffs, we'll just be doing one show a week. These cappers in the chat, we have nothing without you guys, and that was well said by Whale Capper. Shout out to Nasty Nate, Dennis Garcia, Zachary, Derek, Nico, Gene Montoya, Trot Wham, Ron Fig, Sean, Mick, Corey, Mac, Tom Marino, Tomor, Joe, Rich Ramirez, Clint Richardson, Reese, Major Tom, Brandon Story, Deer Slayer Ski, Clint Richardson, Michael Jordan, Al Jimenez, all you guys, thank you so much for your energy. Let's have a big week 16 in the NFL. On behalf of Donnie RightSide, Whale Capper, Rafa on the ones and twos, everybody here at Sportsbook Review, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get after it and have a big week. We will see you here next Friday, the 27th. Have a Merry Christmas, and can't wait to be working with you guys again 7 days from now. Be well. Happy holidays.